So we are LemonTree Food Helpline, and what we do is we help people find and maintain free food access at foodhelpline.org. I just put the link up there so you can start checking it out while I'm talking. But LemonTree started with sort of when we realized sort of the shocking fact that there's 13,658 McDonald's locations in the US. I just Googled that. But at the same time, there's 48,581 food pantries. So there's way more food pantries in the United States than McDonald's. But yet, people are much more comfortable finding a McDonald's, going to a McDonald's, because they know that they're treated with dignity and respect, which is sort of a spoiler for my next slide, which is why don't people use food pantries? Like, how come everybody's so comfortable going to a McDonald's, but they aren't willing to visit a food pantry near them when they could really benefit from the free food available? And the first thing that we identified was just information. A lot of times people don't know where the food pantries are. When I first started building out LemonTree, I was shocked to see that there was a food pantry basically on every corner in the neighborhood where I live here in Queens. But food pantries are much closer than most people think or imagine. And the other piece is just the dignity and hospitality. So a lot of people, even if they know there's a food pantry around the corner, like they saw it on some directory or a map or something, they still don't know what the experience at that food pantry will be like, and they don't know if that food pantry is even for them. They imagine that food pantries are for like some other kind of person, not for them, and they should save the food for somebody else. And they also don't know that they'll be treated with respect and hospitality. Unfortunately, at some food pantries, people can be rude or busy. And so people who are new to food pantries are sort of concerned about having this experience when they go and visit. And so LemonTree was designed to solve both of those problems, both by providing people information on where the food pantries are and making it more transparent on the dignity and hospitality that they should expect to receive once they visit the food pantry, and providing them that dignity and hospitality all the way up in the days leading up to visiting the food pantry and the days following their visit, and hopefully their continued food access journey, making sure that they feel comfortable and welcome accessing food pantries and soup kitchens. So in the very beginning, we're a tech startup, nonprofit. Like every tech startup, we started off by proving out our MVP in a very non-technical way. We just hung up this flyer. So this flyer, this is our original flyer. I found it in a Dropbox somewhere. And we would print this out and hang it on the sides of bodegas, on electricity poles, on like anything we could find around New York City in the midst of the pandemic in 2020. And so what this would do is you would just have a phone number where you would call this phone number, and then our founder, Kasumi, would actually pick up the phone in her apartment in Brooklyn and walk you through the steps of accessing a food pantry. She would do some Googling on her computer. We had access to a couple Airtables, if you know what that is, but like databases that other people had put together, that we would try and find stuff that like might be in your neighborhood. And it was all very ad hoc, and it sounded something like this if audio works. And hopefully the audio worked, or else that was just a weird pause. And so then next, after we were doing these really intense conversations with individual clients, and in having these conversations, we started thinking about like, how do we multiply Kasumi so that Kasumi is able to work with more people at once, and also we're able to hire more Kasumis, like more people who can work the phones. And so we went into this very text message based model where instead of calling us using voice, people could text us, and we would walk them through finding food pantries near them. And we started building low code or no code solutions. This is before I started LemonTree as as a founding engineer hire and CTO. And so what they built out was just ways to copy and paste stuff from these directories really quickly. I remember when I first started, I was shocked to find out that they didn't have any way to handle Spanish. Obviously, we have a lot of Spanish speakers. And so they would just copy and paste all of these hours and descriptions into Google Translate in order to get the Spanish version really quickly. But it did help because a lot of the people we hired, or all of the people we hired, were bilingual. So they at least spoke Spanish, but they just needed to get them in the system as quickly as possible. So we were doing this very ad hoc text messaging back and forth, trying to help people find food pantries. Which I think for this room, all of you will recognize as referrals. Like, this is a pretty traditional system for a client comes to you and then you build out a list of referrals from a database that's sitting on your desk, on your computer, or maybe you're like going through some documents, trying to find some food pantries. But those of you who are tech savvy might be asking, hey, why are we asking the clients to like text this helpline instead of letting them self-serve with something like a directory? And that is a super common question that a lot of food access nonprofits have sort of come to. And so they've built out stuff like this. This is our friends at cityharvest.org. They have a food map of all the different food pantries that they service that any client can go look at. This is Food Finder. It's another tech nonprofit startup, and they built out this map. This is Vivery. They're based more in the Chicago area in the Midwest, and they're building out a map and directory for nonprofits to embed on their own websites. This is Food Help NYC. This is the official government directory of food pantries that people can look at to find food. Here's maybe sort of a less map focused one. It still has a map, but it's a little smaller. And it just lists out all of the food pantry information. And then, of course, we couldn't miss out on the party. Here's ours. We also built out a map and a directory where you can look through all of the food access information in our database. But when we were building out this map and directory interface, we realized that with the map and directory, you were missing out on some of the more personalized touches of us going through and curating a list of food pantries for you based on the times that they're open, for example, how reliable we know those food pantries are, and the experiences that folks have at those food pantries. You can see the little 93 reviews, huge number of reviews, much more than anybody else in this space for the Corona's church here. And I'll get more into that after this. And so what if we took that map and directory experience and then combined it into one product? So we took the smart recommendations or referrals and then we combined them with the map for all of our registered clients, which looks sort of like this. So it says, good afternoon, Sam, very welcoming, very hospitable. It has a curated list of all of the food pantries that are for me, as well as the walking directions, the reviews, the upcoming occurrences. We found our clients like to see it in upcoming openings, and the location, everything you need to visit Love Wins, which is one of my favorite food pantries in my neighborhood. That's my real address. These are my real referrals for me. But how do we put together these smart recommendations? So it's a combination of ingredients, including data confidence, the next time that the resource is going to be open, the client experience, that's those reviews. If somebody goes there and has a bad time because a volunteer is having a bad day and they don't have a hospitable experience, they might rate it 1 star, and then we'll recommend that food pantry less often to future people. And then distance. And we found out that distance was hugely important. Making sure that the pantry was nearby to the client was key. And so we weighted that very heavily in our AI recommendation model. And then about a year ago, maybe a year and a half now, we made another breakthrough by changing that to travel time. So instead of just calculating the distance by miles of how far the food pantry is for the client, we started asking the client which travel method they use to get food and using that to calculate the travel time so that we could take into account different things like the subway, the bike routes, if you're biking, how long it takes to walk, if you need to cross a highway, things like that. And so here's a great example of somebody in Detroit, I think it is, where we put them on they located themselves on a map, and then we have this ordered list of referrals for them. And you can see that the number 1 referral is sort of not actually the closest one, just eyeballing it. And the reason for that is that that pantry is only 15 minutes away by subway, by public transit, which is what they indicated that they prefer. And I dug a little deeper into why exactly our algorithm picked that. And sure enough, there's a bus route that goes straight up Greenfield Road. So we'll get them from their door to the food pantry's door in only a few bus stops in 15 minutes. And here it is. So you can see how our algorithm's able to just quickly calculate all of these different signals and pull out the best food pantries for people. And then additionally, we're doing it continuously. So we do it when you first sign up, but we also found that food pantries open and close, they change their hours. Also, the bus networks can change. They just re-networked all the buses where I live in Queens. And so you can imagine if a new bus line is added or a bus line is removed, that would change those recommendations for Donna. So we added a little bell icon right underneath the location, where if you have that turned on, which is now on by default for anybody who signs up new, we'll send you text messages when our algorithm would have referred you to a food pantry that didn't exist or was too far away. And we do that every morning. So I like to equate it to having like a social worker, like going over your file, looking at all of the new food pantries in the neighborhood, and reaching out to you when they discover something new. So with all that, I want to pull us out of slides and just sort of click around a little bit and show you what the client experience is like. Let me see how seamlessly I pull that off. And also, this will give me a chance to read chat to see if you didn't hear anything. Yeah. Okay. It was a call between Kasumi and one of our clients talking about food pantries that they were looking for. Let me get to the demo, Jeremy, and then I'll do questions right after that. Okay, let me just zip that over to the side. Sorry, I should start here. So first, I just wanted to show the sign-up experience so that you can see just how easy it is to sign up as a new user. So you can plug in your phone number right there on foodhelpline.org, but I don't want to put in a fake number and accidentally text a real person. So let me just click on Get Started, and I'll show you sort of the beginning of the form. So as you go through onboarding, either we already have your phone number on the previous page, or you can enter it again here, and you can just tick off the things you're interested in. And then I can show you on this logged in page. Whoop, that's not gonna do anything for me. On this logged in page, this is a completed onboarding form. where you can see all of the different questions we asked during onboarding, like what you need help with, your phone number, the address where you're based. And I wanted to highlight, especially here, that our service is confidential. We need a name just so that we know what to call you. It doesn't have to be your full name. I haven't entered my full name here. It doesn't have to be your real name. You don't actually have to enter a name at all. You can skip that field if you feel uncomfortable giving LemonTree a real name. There's no reason for us to have your government name. We just want something to call you when we're sending you text messages and throughout the product. And then similarly for the dress just base is just the foundation of our algorithm. And so it doesn't need to be like, you don't need to put your apartment number there. It doesn't even have to be your exact street address. You can do cross streets or a McDonald's across the way. We do support using your current location. So I'm doxing myself a little bit. That's where I'm giving this talk from. And then the last step, we just asked some quick questions about whether or not you have SNAP benefits. If you don't have SNAP benefits, we'll help you out by referring you to some community partners who can help you. We ask you, how did you hear about LemonTree? And this is the one I'm super proud of. We ask your travel mechanism so that we can build that into the algorithm. And then we ask them if they have experience using food pantries. And then we pull them out to their dashboard after they complete that form. So you can see here, I have a couple locations. We support multiple locations. We support clients that move. And you have some filters so you can look through the different days that are open. But then most importantly, you can just click through these resources and see the travel times. Um, and something that our users like quite a bit is you can also sign up for reminders. I feel like you all in this space know all about reminders, and sometimes they can get a little tedious. But our users have asked for reminders sometimes so that they can get reminded of when the food pantry opens the day before. And then after you visit a food pantry for the first time, then we'll ask you to complete a review of your experience at the food pantry, which is how we get these impressive review numbers. We have a full circle, closed loop feedback process where we can not only get reviews of their experiences, but we can also get updated info, because sometimes people go to the food pantry and it's not actually open when we thought they would be, because the volunteer was taking the day off or whatever. And we have a research team that will call the pantry and try to get to the bottom of what happened. And so in that way, I like to think of our info as sort of crowdsourced, that like a Wikipedia or something, where all of this information is verified from folks on the ground, which is so different from like that New York City map, where the New York City map, in order to update their data, they have to get new information from the providers, and the providers sometimes forget, especially when they're juggling all of these different sources. So instead of asking the providers to update the info, we ask our users to give us info on when things are different on the ground. But we do also let providers give us their info. This particular pantry is claimed. Providers can claim their resource and update it directly using our platform. And I just want to show this because I'm so proud of it. We also built out this calendar. Mine's a little overwhelming because I have 2 locations, but you can see how you can sort of see your calendar. A lot of us working at internet companies are super into Google Calendar, but some of our clients don't use digital calendars, and so this is a quick way to just see the plan of the food pantries that you're visiting next. And we have this calendar visual view as well as a list view, so you can just see your schedule right there. And then we have the map that you can see underneath here, but on a phone, you can click map to focus the map. And here it just sort of zips that away and puts it back. And then we have the feed, and the feed is just a live update of changes to food pantries that you've been referred to, including, this is great to show off. I got really lucky for this demo. This is live on production. There's this beautiful food photo up here. After people visit the food pantry, we ask them to take a picture of any of the food they got. So as a client, you can just sort of browse through and see what to expect at 9 Million Reasons. Yeah, and you can just scroll through and see all of the data changes and and food photos. Sorry, I'm looking at chat. Thanks, Jeremy. So yeah, so that's our client experience. But then I had sort of a one more thing moment that I wanted to also drop in. Since most of you are providers working with clients, we've started building out an organization dashboard. So this is a way for you to register your organization with LemonTree and get information on your impact that you're having via clients that you're registering to sign up with LemonTree. So this is City Harvest, and they've registered 170 clients so far. They have a link on their homepage. And they can scroll through all of the resources they're interested in. And then if you click on Share LemonTree, it takes you to this page. This is how we're able to associate the individual clients with your organization. It has a ref code in here, so they can share out this link and put it on the distribution table or whatever. And this is something I'm super excited about too. There's a mechanism to generate dynamic PDFs. So you can do like City Harvest distribution, and then here's an old office I used to work at, and then you can get flyers for your different locations, which you can print out, hang up on the wall, leave out on a table, and it'll just run our algorithm and find resources near your distribution. And then this QR code includes your ref link. So all of the clients that sign up with this QR code will be associated with your organization. So yeah, so that's really exciting. And then once clients sign up, you can see them all. This yellow is the zip codes where they live. We didn't want to share their exact location for privacy reasons, but you can sort of get a vibe of where people are signing up from. And then you can filter to just the impact of clients registering using your ref code, including these reviews that they leave sometimes. So you can sort of get a real sense of the impact that you're having by sharing out your LemonTree link with the ref code. Our dream is that the impact that you have via LemonTree is your impact, and you can share this stuff out in your quarterly reports or whatever with your with folks that are interested. So yeah, so that's LemonTree. As always, I've talked for a while, so I'm going to try to take questions really quickly in the 4 minutes we have left.
Hey, Sam. I have the questions
Hey,
already on deck, so I can just kind of help you out with that really quickly.
thank you.
First question is, how often on average do your users visit? Oh, you stop. You have to come back on screen. You stop sharing your audio and video for the whole thing.
I did that in the practice too.
It's all good. I'll go ahead and remove it. There we go.
There you go.
You're good.
Okay.
How often on average do your users visit food pantries?
It varies, and also it varies how often they'll report back on each and every visit, because we only ask them after the first time. I feel like our more prolific users go 2 or 3 times a month. We have some users who are just very into the LemonTree ecosystem, and they will send us a photo every single time they go to a food pantry, which is amazing. We love those users. And then we have some folks. We had one where we sent Another feature that I didn't get to talk about yet was we have a 6 month check-in procedure where if we haven't heard from you in 6 months, we just send you a text message and are like, hey, how's it going? Is everything good? Do you still need food? Did you move? Can we help you in any way? And somebody responded to that and they said, actually, your first referral was amazing. I've been going to that every month for the past 6 months, and it's been a huge difference for my family. So we have some users that visit food pantries and and then we find out about it later with the 6 month update.
Amazing. Next question is, do the clients usually have the internet access to be able to access the platform?
Yeah, so it is most people in America at all income levels have smartphones because, for better or worse, smartphones are required to do anything these days. Get a job, do anything. So even people who don't necessarily have stable housing will often have smartphones that they're able to use LemonTree on. But in addition to that, we also work entirely through text message. You don't have to visit the website. You can talk to. We have a specialist team, which is a set of real human beings that are looking at the text messages and replying, and they have all the tools they need to send you the data on the food pantries that we refer you to, all through text message. And stay tuned. I have some ideas for voice support too. So we're hoping to add better voice support in the future.
Amazing. Last question. How often does your research team verify the information with each food bank?
Yeah, so a lot of times we're instigated by some sort of event, like the client will go discover that it's not open, and that prompts our research team to make a phone call or send an Instagram message or a Facebook message. We've given them all the tools to try and attempt to contact the food pantry. Once I heard that we actually call the gas station across the street and we ask them if they can look out their door and see if there's a food pantry that's operating across the way. So our research team reaches out in those moments, but then also additionally, we have a mechanism that automatically generates a flag. I think like 60, maybe 90 days, 2 or 3 months if we haven't had any other reason to check in with the pantry. And that's especially for pantries that have been marked as like maybe temporarily closed. And so there isn't any reason for clients to go there. So we'll call them and be like, hey, are you guys open again, or what's going on?
Also, thank you so much. Sorry, there was one more question from Jeremy that said, how many languages do you tend to see?
How many languages?
Mhm.
Right now, we only support English and Spanish. We've seen there's some demand for Mandarin or Russian, and so we're looking for funding to add more languages in the coming years. It's always all about funding. I'm putting in the chat my yeah, thanks, Jeremy. I'm putting in my contact information in the chat. If anybody wants to get in touch, especially about getting one of those ref codes so that you can start tracking our mutual clients that you sign up for LemonTree, and keeping in touch with their food access journey. And then my LinkedIn. I love making new friends. Alexis can attest to this. I love new friends.
We're
So
basically friends right now.
yeah, we're basically
We're
best
practically
friends.
best friends.
We haven't confirmed it yet until like right this second, but I think we're basically best friends.
I mean, the way
So
we just
if
add it up, right? Like,
yeah. So if you too want to be my best friend, linkedin.com